praying for her. I mean, for what little we can do, that we can do.
Friends of a missing woman turned to social media to ask for help and for prayers. Good evening, everyone. I'm Cindy Williams.
And I'm Pat Callahan. 34-year-old Valerie Tieman lives in Fairfield with her husband. She's not been seen or heard from since August 30th, but she wasn't reported missing until last Friday. State police released Tieman's picture today, and they're now asking people to keep an eye out for her.
NewsCenter's Chris Ficini is following the story from Fairfield. And Chris, you spoke with some of Tieman's very worried friends today.
Yeah, I certainly did, Cindy, and we'll hear from them in just a moment. A little background first. Now, according to police, as you pointed out, she was last seen at that Walmart parking lot. Again, back on August 30th, she was with her husband, Luc. According to police, he said he came out of the store and she was gone from their pickup truck. Now, he never reported her missing, though. It wasn't until September 9th that her parents, who live out of state, called police because they hadn't been able to get in touch with her.
I don't know why anyone would harm her.
Lynn Rowden says she last saw her friend Valerie on August 9th. That's when Valerie gave her a haircut. She was professionally trained, and that was something that she would do for her friends.
And I'm sure hoping that I'll get to have her do it again, because this is really awful.
Lynn, her daughter, and friends have all been on Facebook spreading the word, hoping that someone may come forward who can help find Valerie.
So then we started thinking, well, maybe if we keep putting it out there, it will get a wider and wider circle. Because I know so many people, but then those people know more people. And it happened right here in Skowhegan. I mean, things like this don't happen here. Somebody's got to have seen something.
Now, Valerie Tieman is described as 5 feet 7 inches tall, weighing about 165 pounds. Anyone with any information, if you think you may have seen her, you're asked to call state police in Augusta. Now, Pat and Cindy, I should mention we attempted to reach Luc Tieman today to see if he could offer us any more information or perhaps explain why he didn't call police. His mother answered the door and told us that he didn't want to speak to us, and neither did she.
She said she was going to take the truck and leave and never come back.
The husband of a woman who's been missing for more than 2 weeks speaks out for the first time. NewsCenter Samantha York spoke with Luc Tieman today, and Sam, police say Tieman never reported his wife missing. Did he tell you why?
Cindy, Tieman said that he had planned on reporting her missing, but Valerie's parents did it before he had the chance to. He had called them to just check in to see if they had heard from her. They live in South Carolina, and he thought if she wasn't home, she might be there, but they hadn't heard from her.
No one cares.
Tieman also tells me that the two were on good terms before she went missing, and in fact, people would refer to them as the perfect couple. But he said she mentioned a couple things to him just days before she went missing that have raised some concerns, including her mentioning there was possibly another man. Tieman and police have both done searches around the area, even checking with local homeless shelters. There has been no sign of her. Tieman had this to say to Valerie.
That you are loved and your family needs you, and come back. Nothing else matters.
Now, Tieman said he wasn't sure if police had any leads at this time. If you see Valerie or have seen her, you're urged to call police. Pat and Cindy.
All right, Samantha, thank you.
That you are loved and your family needs you, and come back. Nothing else.
That was a message from Luc Tieman to his missing wife 24 hours ago. Today, authorities have found a woman's body behind his house. Good evening. I'm Pat Callahan.
And I'm Cindy Williams. Valerie Tieman has not been seen or heard from since August 30th. Her husband, Luc Tieman, says his wife disappeared from their truck at the Walmart in Skowhegan.
He did not initially report her missing, he says, because he thought she'd run away. Today, state police took the search for Tieman to the house where she and her husband live, and it only took police 4 minutes to find a woman's body on the property on Norridge Walk Drive. NewsCenter's Amanda Hill has been following the developments at that home in Fairfield all afternoon.
Good evening. We got to the scene around 1 o'clock this afternoon. Police were just starting to put up the crime scene tape, but by then they had already found the body. It took dogs just 4 minutes to find. At this point, police are not confirming the body as Valerie's. An autopsy will decide that tomorrow. They're also not calling this a homicide, simply a death investigation. State Police spokesperson Steve McCausland says family and friends, including her husband Luc, are cooperating. Luc spoke with News Center last night, begging his wife to come home. He said Valerie had spoken about another man, saying, quote, "I just want her to come out and not be scared."
I thought I knew her until the last couple of weeks. She started saying some things, but I'm not going to say anything bad about her. Just want her back. Her family wants her back. Done everything possible.
Now, Luc told police that he last saw Valerie August 30th, that she disappeared from his truck at a Skowhegan Walmart when he went inside.
There's a lot more work to do here now that we've recovered the remains. And State Police investigators, we have a trained team of evidence recovery technicians that will be getting that task today, and they will be continuing that tomorrow as well.
At this point, no one has been charged with anything. Police continue to search this scene for any remaining evidence. They're hoping that the autopsy tomorrow will give them a little bit more information. In Fairfield, I'm News Center's Amanda Hill.
2 weeks after Valerie Tieman was reported missing, her body was found just yards from her home in Fairfield.
And now her husband is charged with her murder.
I just want her back. And her family wants her back.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Cindy Williams.
And I'm Rob Caldwell. That was Luc Tieman speaking with News Center on Monday. He was arrested this morning, leaving a motel in Waterville. He was staying there last night since the home he shares with his parents is now a crime scene.
News Center's Amanda Hill is at the home tonight and joins us now with the latest on the investigation. Amanda, police say that Luc is cooperating today?
Cindy, he is cooperating, as are his parents and friends of theirs. According to court documents released today, though, Valerie was killed on August 25th. Luc, as we just heard, he told News Center on Monday that she had left him 5 days after that, on the 30th, in a Walmart parking lot, and he just wanted her to come home. Yesterday, police found her body at home within just 4 minutes of searching the woods just a few hundred yards from the house. Police are not yet releasing how she died. They do tell us that Luc went with them peacefully this morning, though. Police say he and Valerie had been married a few years and had only recently moved in here with his parents.
Tieman has cooperated with us from the very beginning, so we've had a number of interviews with him. I don't have an explanation as to why he didn't report her missing, that it was her parents that reported her missing last Friday. But again, you're asking for specifics of what he told us. That's something I'm not getting into.
Now, Luc is expected to make his initial appearance on Friday. Meanwhile, we want to bring Chris Ficini in, who spoke to some of her friends. And it sounds like Valerie didn't really move to Maine until a few years ago, but she had already made some pretty close connections here.
Yeah, she absolutely did, Amanda. We spoke with Lynn Rowden last week, and she was just emotional at finding out that she was missing. She wanted to talk to us today, but she wasn't in good health, and her daughter felt it was best she didn't. She spoke on her behalf. She's also very good friends with Valerie. And she wanted to let people know what a wonderful person that she was, and also to send a message to her parents.
My heart is so broken for them. It's broken for all of us who love her, but it's more broken for them because this is your worst possible nightmare.
Shock, grief, and sadness. Emily Fournier clutched a tissue, constantly wiping away tears as she remembers her friend and comes to grip with her sudden death and the news that her husband, Luc, is charged with her murder.
All I can think of is her poor family. She moves all the way up here from South Carolina. They don't know anyone up here, and all they can do is trust that her husband will keep her safe. The one person that you're supposed to trust your child with.
Emily describes Valerie as beautiful on the outside and even more beautiful on the inside. They met each other through theater. They played sisters in a show last year, and she thought of Val as a sister.
You don't go
a year and a half calling somebody your sister and have that not mean something to you, you know?
She says Val loved to drink tea and would give her free haircuts in exchange for fresh eggs. She also says it seemed like she and Luc were in a loving relationship, that they worshipped each other, and that's what makes this so stunning.
And I keep just praying that God has opened his arms to her and wrapped her in a hug and said it's all okay.
Now, obviously, at this point, funeral arrangements are still being made. Again, we pointed out that Valerie's family is from South Carolina. Spoke with Emily, and she said she's not sure if the funeral is going to be down there or not at this point, but if it is, then she said that they will certainly have some kind of memorial service of some kind for her up here. Rob, Cindy, back to you.
Chris, thank you.
Luc Tieman entered no plea to the murder charge stemming from the discovery of his wife's body earlier this week. Now her death came as a total surprise to the couple's pastor. He said no one had any idea there was any problems between the couple. Except for acknowledging his mother with a smile, Tieman showed no emotion as he went before a judge on one count of murder. During the brief hearing, prosecutors filed a motion to require Tieman to undergo a psychological evaluation typical in murder cases. Outside the courthouse, his attorney said the Army veteran has a right to a fair trial.
He's an honorably discharged Army veteran. He's a combat veteran, and he served overseas for this country, and we expect that there will not be a rush to judgment here.
Tieman first told police his wife disappeared from a Walmart parking lot in late August, but then changed his story after her body was found in the woods near where the couple lived. Tieman said he watched his wife die from a heroin overdose, but an autopsy shows she died from 2 gunshot wounds to the head. The couple worked part-time at the Faith Evangelical Free Church in Waterville. She as a housekeeper, Luc did maintenance. Pastor Bill Kripe says Valerie was a sweet person who always had a smile on her face.
She's just not the kind of person, I don't know what that would even look like, but that you'd ever imagine something like this happening to.
Kripe has known Luc since he was a young child. He says he offered the couple jobs when they moved back to Maine several years ago when Luc got out of the Army.
And she seemed happy. I mean, she really seemed happy. And she seemed happy around Luc. You know, we're not unacquainted with, domestic violence and that sort of thing. But there was no hint.
Pastor Kripe says he will offer up prayers during service on Sunday for Valerie and her family. As for Tieman, he's being held without bail pending another hearing scheduled for November. In Skowhegan, Vivian Lee, News Center.
But she has a family here that adopted her and determined that she was not going to be lost, she was not going to be forgotten, and they were going to move heaven and earth to make sure that she was going to be found.
To those she touched, Valerie Tieman could light up a room.
She chose to love and be loved, and she chose to put her trust in the goodness of others and to see the light of her flame reflected in the hearts of others.
Friends say she was full of life, always putting others before herself.
Her little texts, she always started, "Hey girl, how you doing?" And you could just read it in that sweet southern accent of hers.
That accent a reflection of her family in South Carolina.
I thought, holy cow, that woman is so beautiful. What is she doing in central Maine?
But with the happy memories, friends couldn't help but note that her life was tragically cut too short.
We might look at this and say, then we should not trust and we should not love. Because like a fire, those we trust and love could consume us.
Still, they look to the bright light that Valerie was, seeking forgiveness and understanding, even when it seems impossible.
Was always looking on the bright side of everything.
Her light even shining in those she never met.
This is a woman that I've never met. I can tell you that I spent many nights with Valerie's writings, reading them for her family. And she is just a wonderful, wonderful person.
Valerie Tieman was just 34 years old. In Fairfield, Zach Blanchard, News Center.